welcome, Jason.
Oh my goodness, it's so good to be back. Always a pleasure to
Yes.
be here.
Rounding a decade of covering Trump.
Yes.
And
No, I know.
Trump,
I am well aware. I'm well
and
aware.
yes, as you and I have been just doing this forever. And Trump has finally found a story that I think has really made him so furious. First of all, everything that has to do with the jet makes Trump furious. And then the story of him hiding in the catering truck. So, just for anyone who's not just completely read in on this, there was a really good Washington Post story. They broke this story that showed that he's supposedly on Air Force One, but it was actually just Marco and all of the press corps. They snuck him and Natalie Harp and DOD Secretary, warrior fighter, the best, Pete Hegseth, I mean that ironically, into the catering truck. And then they took another plane. Donald Trump really mad to be embarrassed about that. Discuss.
Well, I look, it was so crazy, and I've always start every sentence with that in the Trump era. It's like, this is so crazy until the next crazy thing happens. But the fact that he was like, listen, if there was a credible threat, you would have gone down, we would have gone down together, all of us. But
Right. He
he
made a
snuck
real
off
point of
the
saying
plane.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, why did we have to put the window shades down? That was a little odd. Is there a threat?
Yeah.
Should we be worried? He's like, well, look, if I go, you go. But that was not true. That was a lie. And it's not
What he
like it's
meant was if you go, you go.
if you go, I watch. I
Yeah.
watch. And that like maybe is the most sociopathic, like disturbing part of all of this is that he was lying to people's faces when maybe they were in danger. Like we don't know the like how serious the threat was. Obviously, it was serious enough that he was going to be taken out in a catering cart
Yeah.
and swept
Yeah.
away into another plane. But I thought it was so odd his reaction afterwards, and he always overcompensates for everything. But this was like it was like up to an 11 from the usual 10, where he was like, this look, why are you asking a question about this? There's always threats against me.
Right.
And now we see this that when the story comes out, now it's like on top of the plane thing where he had made an excuse that he was gonna like take the other plane back to show the soldiers for morale or something that made no sense. Everyone's like, what are you even talking about here? And then this comes out, and obviously, like the Secret Service, if there was a threat, it wasn't like Trump was calling the shots on this and being like, we're going to do this. But it is a disturbing thing that for reporters to be like, you were used as a decoy and potentially like if there was a threat,
Yeah.
everyone thought that Trump was on the plane and he wasn't on the plane. And I guess it was like, well, you got to protect the president. And that makes sense. We also what happened in like after 9/11 with George W. Bush. He on 9/11, he was just like going from Air Force Base to Air Force Base, and nobody really knew where he was for 10 hours. So obviously that's the job of the Secret Service is to protect the president. But the layers of this story, it's like an onion. You peel it. There's like the jet. There's like the lying to the reporters, the using as a decoy. But it's something that really bothers him. And that's what makes me want to peel the onion just a little bit more to see like what else is underneath here. Maybe we get to the insecurity at the bottom of all this.
Well, and I think the story that speaks to me here is that when after the plane story, then there was reporting about how Air Force One, the Qatari plane, wasn't ready for flight and had been rushed and didn't have the necessary safety features. Then Donald Trump got really mad and had his DOJ, which, by the way, not how the DOJ is supposed to work, subpoena a bunch of journalists in their houses. So, like, we are seeing right here what happens when Donald Trump gets embarrassed, right? And he sends his DOJ after journalists, which, by the way, there is no precedent for.
No, and it's like it is the amount of like manpower and the amount of the US government that is being used to protect Donald Trump's feelings. Like we've never seen
Very
anything like
sensitive.
this before. He's very I'm not that's not a joke. Like he is really, really sensitive. And if he gets his feelings hurt, that's when you see him act out in such irrational ways. And it's like going back to the 2020 election. Like he's still going back to this because he can't deal with the fact that like he saw on TV that he lost. that Saturday morning when Fox News called the election, called Arizona, he still has that feeling of like deep insecurity, feeling like a loser, and that totally goes against his entire personality, the whole brand that he's built for himself. And just tries to break that down, and he's using the whole government just to protect his feelings. And I can't imagine what it's like to be on his staff, just knowing like his ego is more important than Americans' lives for the most
Yeah.
part. Like it's his ego is more, we must protect that at all costs because one, that's going to hurt your job if he gets upset or his feelings are hurt. And then two, if his feelings are hurt, will be real world repercussions for everyone. And we don't,
Yeah.
and there's no stopping it.
No, I mean, there are 7 countries that Donald Trump has forayed into in his quest to end foreign wars everywhere. And, he has his eyes on Iceland, on Greenland,
Yeah.
Iceland, sorry. So let's talk on Greenland. I'm sorry.
Greenland. Yes. Yes.
Greenland, easy to confuse. And he confuses them sometimes too.
And have we talked about this before? I think he likes Greenland because it's so big on a map and he thinks
Yes.
it looks really big. That's it. That's the reason he likes it.
And
Yeah.
it also makes the Europeans really freaked out, which is yet another reason to do it.
Rightfully so. To
Yes,
take
and
over a country.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't imagine why a madman taking over. But, when we talk about the 2020 election, there were some primaries this week, and one of them featured we talk about a lot of primaries, but the primary that I don't think is getting enough attention is this Minnesota Republican gubernatorial, in which a figure from the 2020 election denialism rears his complicated head once again.
Mustachioed
MyPillow,
head. Yes. Yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
Lindell, he is refusing to accept the results. Discuss.
Who could have seen this coming? The guy who
could?
like spent all of this time and money on the 2020 election is now saying that this election is stolen and he lost by quite a lot. It was not
Yes.
like it's not a
Yes.
nail biter here.
No.
Like he lost by tens of thousands of votes from the last count that I saw.
And he's
now
in second place or third place. Is he
I think
even
he's
in
in
second
second. I think
place?
he's in second. Yeah, yeah.
But
But it's I've had a couple run-ins with him and you see him and he's somebody that like when you see him on TV and some people you see like ranting and raving on TV and you're like, okay, that's an act. They're doing it for the cameras. This is going to get the clicks. This is going to get the notoriety. That is him all the time. He is at a 10 all the time. I spoke with him at at CPAC. I think it was 2022. And I went up to him and asked him like a question about the election. And then he started like screaming at me and saying that my dad worked for like Dominion voting and like a family of working for Dominion. And I was asking the question to him. And I was like, this is not somebody who is stable, but somehow he has been endorsed by the president of the United States to be the governor of Minnesota. And it blows my mind that he's still relevant after all these years when basically his whole deal was one, being like an infomercial pillow salesman. And then he went from that to having the ear of the president and taking this 2020 election conspiracy theory to like the next level. And we saw him at the White House in 2021 with martial law written on a piece of paper when he was going to meet with Donald Trump.
That's right.
To think this guy,
Martial
I
law.
think he spelled it incorrectly as well.
It's a
But
hard word.
it's a hard word. It's a hard
Yeah,
word. Well, there's
I'll
two.
give him that.
Yeah, there's two ways
There's
to
two
spell.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But for him losing is a good sign. I think if you are not a fan of Donald Trump and his sway, because there was a time, in the midterms in 20, where Donald Trump would endorse somebody, maybe they would lose, they'd win the election, the primary, and then they would go and maybe lose
General.
in like Herschel
Like
Walker
Roy
and all those
Moore. Yeah.
Roy Moore, the
Remember
guy
Roy
in
Moore.
Roy Moore,
Lake
man,
Masters.
all those fun characters. But like on the one hand, you don't have him in the general election. If you're a Democrat, maybe you'd want him there, but also like I am of the mind that get the bad people out whenever you can. Don't
Yeah.
put it up to a coin flip, or there'll be a scandal or something bad will happen in the state that'll sway the election. Let's do the laundry beforehand and just like hopefully put the best people forward, even if it's not from your own
It's
party.
it's funny because it's like we're both people who've gone to a lot of CPACs, so we both have the same instinct, which is like bad candidates, get them out before they can do more damage.
No, because it's you never know, and you don't know if they're gonna say the thing that's gonna push them. Like you never know what's gonna happen. The
The
megaphone, like,
megaphone,
and
yeah.
it's like, what evidence do you have of that? Donald Trump in 2016, like that's
Yeah.
the evidence of it. It can get worse. And it's good to just know that some people are at least sensible enough to not say we want this pillow salesman to be our governor.
Can you imagine if, like, Marco had been the nominee or Jeb?
I don't know. It's funny. DeVrom and I were talking about this the other day. We were talking about 2012 with Obama and Romney, and everyone was so mad at Romney, and it's like he's got the binders full of women, which was just
Right,
everyone was talking about is he was just saying I have binders full of qualified women to
right,
yeah,
right.
and everyone was
It
like, and now Donald Trump is literally
yeah,
putting his face on coins, and has a whole secret police force. Things
yeah,
could have
mhm.
there's a different timeline out there, I guess is my point. There's a different timeline.
Yeah, no, it's true, and I also think yeah, no, for sure, and so the MyPillow guy did not win, but and that is a good thing, and there does seem to be, even despite the fact that everything is insane, it does seem to be there've been a lot of, like, I think of Andy Ogles in Tennessee, like, there have been candidates who were genuinely nuts and who had a Trump endorsement and who still lost.
Yes, yes, and, I mean, sure, these won't count in some way in Donald Trump's math. He's still gonna be 100% on his endorsements winning
Yeah.
their primaries. But it there you can't kinda take you could take that to heart a little bit being like, "Okay, Donald Trump, he says that the Republican Party isn't popular," and he's right about that, but
Right.
he is also he is also very, very unpopular, and I
Ye
think that with the gas prices and just the cost of living continuing to be high, I think he's gonna you nothing he's doing, no path that he's on now is gonna make him more popular with people. Because
it is
anything that was popular is now unpopular that he's been doing.
it's interesting because it's like so the last couple weeks, he's been just like, the vaccine thing, vaccines are an 80-20 issue, so he did this vaccine thing. He's done a lot of, like, shoring up the base stuff, right? Another birthright citizenship pass. I wonder what is happening there. Like, is he instinctively shoring up the base because he's done that before and it's worked for him? Remember, like, Maha did get him female voters that he would not have otherwise gotten. Do you think that's what it is, or do you think he has some master plan here?
I think he is an old dog and he's not learning any new tricks. I could
Yeah,
because he keeps going back to transgender for everyone. He keeps saying these
right.
lines where he's like, "Oh, this was the key
It worked.
in 2024, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
keep doing this." When people are like, "I just wanna be able to, afford a tank of gas." I wanna be
yeah.
able to afford groceries, and everything costs so much more now, and you're saying you're gaslighting me and saying that that's not happening. So, I think he's just going back and playing the hits, which was it's not like he had new stuff really in 2024 besides the they them ads and
Yeah,
it was all the same thing except for he was running on affordability and things did cost more and gas was
yeah.
up. So you can't run on that when you're in power and you because of a war that you decide to get into, gas prices are higher now. It just doesn't work. Now, does that, I don't but I'm also not I'm optimistic for the midterms, but there's a lot of time. You never know what's gonna happen,
So
what new issue is gonna come up.
so you were just in Michigan at a Trump rally. Talk us through. So you were on the ground talking to people in a swing state. Now, they're not swing voters, they're Trumpers, but
Right.
talk us through what the vibes are. Like, are they full? I mean, they're still no. The thing you always tell me, which always makes me upset, is that they're never, because I always think they'll you can just explain it to them and they'll be like, "Oh, you're right." But that never happened. But talk us through what happened at this rally.
Well, a great example of what you were just describing is I talked to a guy at the Michigan rally who said that he did not have health insurance. And I asked him, "Would you want the government to provide free healthcare for everyone?" And he said, "No, no, I would rather pay for it. I don't
I
think
s
we
I
should be
saw
paying
this
for healthcare."
video.
And later in the conversation, I asked him, I said, "What about billionaires? Should billionaires be paying more taxes so we could have more services, everyday Americans? Because that it's so much money that they're taking in and they're hiding it in certain ways and not paying the same percentage of taxes as you or I." And he got so offended by that. He was offended and started defending billionaires. He was like, "No, Elon Musk, he earned his money. He earned his $1 trillion. He shouldn't be paying more taxes. And it's not their responsibility for us to have healthcare. Like they are successful." It was almost like he was holding on to this idea of the American dream and being like, this exists for this one person, so the American dream is alive. Even though it's not alive for me, it's not alive for anyone in my life, and I'm one trip to the hospital from complete financial ruin. The idea of it is more important. And what you were saying about people, if you explain it to them, then maybe like a door will open in their mind. It's almost like the opposite, where you explain it and you put facts out, and there's a faith you have in like either like Trumpism, the MAGA belief, or just the American dream itself. You have faith in that, and you're like, if I were to accept this, then that would mean this is not true. And this is so important. Is it such an important part of my identity, the American dream, that we're in the greatest country on earth, that if I let go of that, then it's like almost like letting go of a faith and like letting go of religion because it's so like ingrained in them. So it's not as easy as just saying the facts. And it's disheartening sometimes because you think if you just say this, you say the right word, the right combination of sentences, and you have the facts to back it up, you'll change minds, but it doesn't always work that way, which is it's sad to be honest. I mean, it's sad. There's no other way to put it.
It is, but it's interesting because I watched that video of that guy, you put out that video, and like he's so baked into his belief, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought it's interesting because Michigan is a state that's really been hit by manufacturing leaving, and then it has this interesting point of like this is a state where manufacturing has not come back.
No.
So, but tariffs have really affected the state. So, do you get anywhere with that? Like, do they understand that? And also, more importantly, like, they clearly see things are more expensive. How do they thread that needle?
I mean, it's hard because you have to hold two things at the same time. You're like, you've got your Trump hat on and you're at a Trump rally and you like Donald Trump and you think he's like, he tells it like it is and all the same stuff that we've been hearing for years, why people have been drawn to Donald Trump. And then something like the war happens and gas prices go up and you can't say it's not a result of something that Donald Trump's done.
Right, because it's so clearly like he went to war, the prices went up like a week, 3 days later, or they closed the
But
straits.
I talked to a guy there and about that, and he was like, I don't like the high gas prices." And I was like, "Do you blame Trump for this, for the war?" And he was like, "No, I think it's the Democrats are to blame for the high gas prices." And I just, I tried to talk it through, and then if you say a few of these facts, like, well, Democrats don't control any House of Congress, and Donald Trump is the president, and he is the one who, like, brought us to this war, and the strait is closed or was closed for this reason, and the immediate reaction is like, "Oh, you're a liberal. It's the liberal media." Like there's no talking facts
Right.
into this discussion where it's like if somebody challenges your viewpoint, then you're not on the same team. And then liberals do this too. Like if somebody challenges some viewpoint, you're like, "Oh, you're on the other side," and blah blah blah. But with this guy, I was like, it's so odd that you know it to be true. You can say that Trump did this, but there's something in your being that won't allow you to to admit that that's the reason why things are higher. Like, that is,
Right.
like, a betrayal of your faith, to bring it back to that. Like, it's a betrayal of what you've made as part of your identity.
Oh, makes me so
Oh, I'm
upset.
sorry, sorry. Should we add
No,
on a lighter note? There's also somebody selling MAGA water there that was just,
wait, what's
water.
MAGA water?
It is MAGA water, and their tagline was "Taste the pure difference." And I was like,
Oh,
"Does that sound like a little bit like David Duke? Like,
yeah.
do you understand that?" And they were like, "That's the problem with you all. I would have never thought that." And then they went on to say, like, "It's just for people who think America is for people who, like, will come here and assimilate," like, literally, like, said, like, a David Dukeism. And then I was like, "Oh, so keep it pure. So keep it pure." And then she's like, "Exactly. That's okay." I was like, "All right, so it is the thing that we said it was. Great, great."
Let the record show that we laugh to keep from crying, not because any of this is funny, mostly because it's so tragic.
No, it is so tragic. It's so tragic. And yeah,
Yes.
and we've lived it and we're living it and I'm living it. So yes, it is. It's a real deal, isn't it? Where we find
Yes.
ourselves. It's a
Yes.
real
Yes.
deal. It's a bad deal,
Jace,
folks. Yeah.
Jason, will you come back?
Always, always.
Okay, good.